Oh, hello and welcome back to another Nothing But Football video. It's been a while, as always, joined by Alex.
All right, Alf. Yeah, it's been a while. A lot happened since we last spoke. Big transfer. Messi has left. Uh,
We're going
England.
to have a chance to talk about that today.
I know. Yeah, England as well. I'm sure we'll cover all this ground over the coming weeks. Now we're back. We're back recording again. But with the this is for the sole purpose of the Premier League, which returns this weekend. So let's get into it, shall we?
Yeah, I mean we'll waste no time talking about it. We'll just get straight into it. 20th to first place, and in 20th, I think we've both agreed on Watford, haven't we?
Yeah, I think the way Watford run their football club, I don't think it's sustainable. It just should not be successful. I think they were very fortunate that I think the Championship, its standard was very poor last season. Let's put it this way: I don't think in any other Championship season that have been so convincingly promoted. I think their squad's too big, and I don't think there's enough quality in it. I like Sarr. I think he's a good player. I like the goalkeeper Bachmann. He had a good Euros for Austria, but I don't think they've got enough quality to survive. And I think they'll finish quite convincingly bottom of the league.
Yeah, I mean I agree with you. Last season, whenever I watched them, they definitely didn't look like a team that was going to go up automatically. And like I say, the quality of the quality of the Championship last season helped them. And like say having players like Sarr, who if COVID wasn't there, Man United may have been able to afford him, and he may have been off to Old Trafford. And obviously that helps when you've got players that are probably a Premier League quality. But like I say, the way that they run with the managers and everything, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to tell you who it is at the moment. He's was he
Xisco,
from
isn't it?
Croatia?
Xisco. No, they sacked him. They got that Spanish bloke in Xisco Munoz or something like
that. They're always pulling managers from God knows where.
I mean, I don't think you're gonna see him last the season if Watford are fighting down the bottom. So they'll probably pluck in another left field manager, and it'll just be the same old cycle.
Yeah, well, it'll probably be Quique Sanchez Flores again.
Yeah,
probably about to do another Watford manager role. Yeah. I mean, the bottom three really aren't that interested. I mean, 19th, no. We both agreed, haven't we, with Norwich, another club. I mean, to be honest with you, the last season they were in the Prem, obviously not last season before. I thought they played quite good stuff to say, they went convincingly down. I mean, I watched them against us, they were unlucky. Krul saved the penalty and he come off his line, which I always think, I know it's against the rules, but it's always harsh. I remember a game against Spurs. I think they got a point, but they probably should have got 3.
Yeah.
They beat City, didn't they? Pookie scored twice.
Well, we watched them live in the flesh together, didn't we? And they were quite unlucky that
day. Don't remind me. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awful night.
Hideous game, but they were probably the better side. But I think Norwich is not what you have to admire about Norwich is their own downfall as well, because I think they will always try and play really nice football. I think that's kind of the ethos of the club. But unfortunately for them, under Delia Smith's ownership, they're never going to throw loads of money at it because for a football owner, she's not that wealthy. I know that sounds stupid, but Norwich are going to have to reinvest money from selling their best players like they have done with Buendia this season. I think if Age was on Pookie's side, he'd have probably gone as well.
Yeah.
And it looks like, well, there's rumours that Cantwell could be going as well. So I think, Norwich will probably have another season in the Premier League, happily take the parachute payments and bounce back up next season.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say, I think getting Billy Gilmore on loan was massive.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play. He was excellent for Scotland against England in the 0-0 win. But no, I think that could be quite a coup for Norwich. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does.
Yeah, I personally, I think he'll really succeed there. And to be honest, if they're going to have any sort of chance of staying up, I think he might be at the heart of it.
Yeah.
I mean, moving up to 18th, I think we'd like to say we've agreed with the bottom 3. Both had Burnley. Hopefully,
yeah.
Well, not. I don't want to say hopefully, but Personally, I think it might. I say it every year. I think it is the year, that they go down.
No, I haven't been impressed with Burnley's business, to be honest. I think only Burnley could sanction a transfer of £12 million on a Stoke City defender, and it'd be their highlight. But they just remind me of. Do you remember when Charlton were in the Premier League?
Yeah, but 06, 07 they went down, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Alan Kirbishley kept performing miracles, and eventually I know he left for that last season, but eventually, it kind of just petered out.
Yeah.
And I can see that happening to Burnley. I can see that happening to Burnley this season. The squad's not getting any younger. And I think Dyche can only keep doing what he has been doing for so long on a shoestring budget. I think, there will be offers if the worst was to happen for Burnley. Rightly so, because Dyche has done such an amazing job there. But I just think this is the season that the fairy tale ends for Burnley. If I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah, well, I think the core of their team would be ripped apart. I mean, there's players in there that should be playing top half football. I mean, Dwight McNeil, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah,
Hope, Tarkowski. I think even Chris Wood, to be honest with you. I think he does score goals. And I mean to bag double figures for Burnley. I mean, he's well suited for there, but I think he could definitely, do a job elsewhere in the Premier League. I think some of them players, will they want to be, facing relegation battles each season? And especially if they go down, I can't see any of them staying if they go to the Championship.
Look, this is one of them where we could, in May, look back and it could be absolutely ridiculous of a suggestion, couldn't it? Because remember that one season, everyone tipped Burnley to go down, and they ended up getting into Europe. So you never know. But I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen one season. I don't think it's sustainable for Burnley to stay in the Premier League for that long, and I just think it could be this season.
Yeah. I mean, we'll swiftly move on to 17th. This is the first position that we've actually debated. I mean, who have you had for 17th?
I've had Brentford.
I mean, I've put Southampton there personally.
Okay, I'll let you explain that one first.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of an awkward time really to make the prediction. I mean, obviously Danny Ings going an absolutely massive blow.
That was so out of nowhere as well.
I didn't even see a single.
No, I didn't.
A bit like the Sol Campbell transfer, maybe not the same level. But now I think obviously at the time of recording, James Ward-Prowse still there's still no concrete. But if I was him, I'd probably be wanting to leave, especially after the way Danny Ings has gone. Probably their best player other than Ward-Prowse. And I just think that some of the players they've got around them just aren't good enough. I've seen a load of people thinking that this is Che Adams' time to shine now. Ings has gone. He's going to score a load of goals. I can't. I don't think he's the man to really. I mean, it could just be blown in my face in the season. I don't think he's the man to score the goals to keep him up.
But then again, if Armstrong goes and does really well, who knows? They could be so much higher.
I guess, yeah. I forget actually, yeah.
But it's a risk. It's a risk. He's only made sporadic Premier League appearances for Newcastle. It could either go, they plucked Che Adams out of the Championship after a really good season for Birmingham, and for the first part of his Southampton career, he really struggled. So it could be a similar thing, and I don't see where goals are going to come from if that happens again.
Yeah, but I think it's a similar sort of situation to you've had 17th Brentford. Will Tony fair? Well, two ex-Newcastle boys.
Yeah, I've had Brentford 17th, and I do honestly think if you offer the Brentford fan now that position, they'd probably take it. But I don't know. I like the way Brentford play football. I think they finally cracked it getting into the Premier League. Don't get me wrong. I really admire the way they try and knock it about. They've been the joy to watching the Championship for the last few years, but I think they'll take a lot of batterings of good teams this season, but I think they'll have enough to beat the teams that will be in and around them to have the points to survive. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I've had them 16th, so only a place higher. And I have to say, the way they play football, I mean, when they're in League One, they call themselves the Barcelona, football league. They really do play really good stuff. And I think that I agree with you. When you,
because I think they'll stick with that style of play whoever they play.
Yeah.
And I think when when you play the likes of Man City, that's when I can see 5-6 goals sometimes going against them. But if you look at that and they play the likes of maybe Watford, then I can see them picking up a big 3 points. I mean, this summer business they've got Kieran from Celtic. From Celtic, which I think was a good bit of business, and on Onyeka from Midtjylland.
Yeah,
he loves a Danish sort of player.
Well, I think it was kind of he's meant to be anyway, Danish going to play for Thomas Frank. I'm really looking forward to seeing how Tony does. To be fair, I think if he has a good season, it could be following the Ollie Watkins path of getting an England call up.
Yeah,
carry on, Alf. Sorry.
No, so I was just going to add. I think he will score goals. I think he'll hit double figures personally.
Yeah, and Rico Henry is a player I've really liked as well for a long time. I remember watching him. I think he made his debut against Carl for Warsaw.
Yeah,
and I was really impressed with him that day. And he's gone to Brentford and he's cemented himself as their first choice left back. And I think he'll take to the Premier League like a duck to water. To be honest, I think he's made for it. But I don't think you'll see many 0-0s involving Brentford this season. Let's put it that way.
No, they're definitely attacking style side. I mean, personally, I think they're midfield as well. I mean, Josh Da Silva, I think, I did watch him a few times for our youth team. I mean, I say a few, probably a couple. And I did think he stood out in our youth team. So there was no surprise when he went to Brentford, that he's sticking out for them. I think he's injured for the start of the season, which will be a blow. Put him in my fantasy football. But no, I personally think that they'll do well to stay up. And I think if they do stay up, hopefully they won't have to sell the best players and maybe they can build on that.
Yeah. So 16, you've had
Brentford
16. Yeah. So my 16th, you explained 17th. Yeah, you said Southampton. Yeah. So my 16th place is Newcastle. I think it'll just be another plodding along under Steve Bruce, keeping their heads above water until this takeover, if or when it happens.
Big if.
But it looks like, as at the time of recording, Willock is a done deal. I'd be interested to get your perspective on that. But I just think, there'll probably be a lot of discontent around Steve Bruce again, but he'll just do enough to keep them up.
Yeah, I think the whole Willock deal, I think Newcastle are getting an absolutely fantastic player, for 25 million. I think it's sort of a 50-50. We didn't score many goals from midfield last season, and Willock obviously went and he matched Shearer's record, and was it 7 in a row? And you sort of wonder where the thinking is behind that. But then, watching him before, it can be such a frustrating player. And I don't think, his style fits. I mean, at first, I think my heart took over and I was really gutted. But, moving forward, 25 million for a youth product, when you actually put it in perspective, it's probably a great business deal for either club, for both clubs. And hopefully we can reinvest that well. And I think it's probably nice. It'll be their first signing when it.
It will. I think probably their only one because they don't have much money. The downside of actually, trying to force through this takeover is the fact that he's gave Steve Bruce absolutely no money to work with. So I think it's kind of they need players in-house to improve and be like new signings, i.e. Ryan Fraser, Jeff Hendrick.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing I will say is a good piece of business by Newcastle was the whole Armstrong deal, the sell-on clause.
Yeah, that's gave them a healthy wedge, hasn't it?
Yeah, was it 4 million?
Yeah.
I mean, for a player that no longer plays for him, you can't complain at that, can you? So
no.
I mean, what
6-year deal for Joe Willock as well, isn't it?
Yeah, which I thought was surprising.
I think the last time Newcastle gave a contract out that long, it was to Alan Pardew.
Yeah. Well, see if he makes the 6 years. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of. I mean, I haven't read anything, but if there's some sort of deal, either a sell-on clause or a buyback, first option. Because I think, to be honest with you, he's an Arsenal lad. He'll whether he's going and 3 years down the line, he's still scoring goals, and we think, we made a mistake on him. And people are after him. we get first choice back. But no, I think it's time, as you know, at this moment in time, I think it is a really good deal for both clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll move on to 15th. I've had Newcastle, so we won't really talk too much about. We've spoken about Newcastle. Who have you had for 15th?
I've had Wolves.
Yeah.
Look, I think anyone who watched our streams last season will know that I was very vocal about how dull and how uninspiring I found Wolves. And I just think, you know, Bruno Lage going in, I think it's a risky one. I've not really been impressed with their business other than tying Ryan Aït-Nouri down to a permanent contract, which I think is a very shrewd move.
Yeah.
Will Jimenez be the same player that he is? It was as harsh as that sounds, remains to be seen. If Jimenez comes back firing on all cylinders, then, you know, Wolves could very easily push up further.
Yeah.
But I think they're kind of in a weird position now, Wolves. I feel like Nuno's gone. And I don't really know, you know, I don't know much about Bruno Lage, to be honest, but I just think it's...
Was it Sporting?
Yeah.
From? Yeah.
I just... Patricio going as well. We haven't even spoke about that.
Yeah, that is... I couldn't believe that personally. The thing, I think the one deal you didn't mention, a Trincao on loan with, I think he's got an option to buy. I mean, last season I watched minimal Barcelona. The one game I did watch, he scored. I want to say it was against Real Betis, an absolute peach into the top corner. So from the little I have watched him, he's looked a good player. I mean, I can't say I've watched all season, so but it's just another one of them Portuguese players.
Yeah,
the Wolves. I mean, they're literally moving the whole country over at this rate.
Yeah. I mean, I think going back to Patricio, he definitely, you know, I think he established himself as one of the best keepers in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And if Jose Sarr isn't up to that, then I think Wolves really could struggle because
who have they signed him off? It's
Olympiacos.
Because we watched him. He had an absolute blinder against us in the Europa League. So I've seen him a couple of times, and he is from what I've seen, a really good keeper. But you know, the Greek league obviously differs from the Premier League. Whether he can hack it is yet to, you know, come out. I mean, I've had Wolves. I've agreed sort of. I've gone 14th for Wolves, so just a place above.
I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle, but I just think it's a season of transition. Whilst, you know, Nuno to Bruno.
You're waiting to get that one out.
Yeah,
I think I agree with Joe on the whole Jimenez thing. I mean, it can't be nice. I mean, that I mean, I presume could be life-threatening. I mean, it's horrible to watch. I mean, if I was in his position, every time I went up to head the ball, I'd be absolutely bricking it. I mean,
definitely.
He's got to wear a pet check hat. I mean, I'm not sure whether that's... I mean...
Well, he played in I think he played in pre-season. He wasn't wearing one, so I don't know whether that's...
I don't know whether it was just rumours. I mean, I doubt he would. I mean, it would surely it'd affect accuracy, would it? I mean, I'm not too sure. I haven't really worn a helmet while playing football, but no, I think it's just whether they can get him going again. It is a real sort of question. I mean, who have you had for 14th?
I've had Southampton, but when I predicted my table was before the Danny Ings deal went through. Now, Southampton could very easily be much lower down than what I've said, but I don't know. I do feel sorry for Ralph Hasenhüttl because I feel like he's done a steady job at Southampton, but I feel like he's just going to be remembered for the bloke who lost 9-0 twice.
I mean, up until that 9-0, there was talks about it being one of the most underrated managers in the league, and then
no, but I do rate him.
Yeah, no, he's a good manager,
and I think he'll keep Southampton. I think he'll keep Southampton mid-table, well, lower mid-table.
Yeah, I mean, I've only gone for 17th just because I'm a bit. I mean, it's probably a bit hypocritical that I think Tony's going to do well and Armstrong isn't. Both scoring goals in the Championship, but I just think that Danny Ings, who obviously is a proven goal scorer in the Prem, leaving it is a big miss for them. I mean, we'll move straight up to 13th. Who have you had? Palace.
I've had Crystal Palace. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would have had them higher. I think Vieira really looks like he's get. I mean, it could be another, De Boer situation.
Yeah.
He's tried to change the the whole philosophy of the club over a short period of time.
You see, I think Vieira will do well. I really do.
Yeah.
I haven't seen many people saying it. I saw people tipping Palace to go down. I was like, I don't see it. I think really impressed with the business they've done. Michael Elise, I think, is a cracking signing.
Yeah.
Mark Gay. I mean, I've waxed lyrical about Mark Gay so many times. I think he will play for England at some point in his career.
I think the main thing, just while we're on Mark Gay, why Chelsea were so willing to.
Well, it's weird because they've let him and Tomori go, and I think he's a better option than some of the players they've got.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Thiago Silva, but what is he? 35, 36?
Yeah.
I mean, selling a 21-year-old centre back to. I mean, I personally thought after the season he had with Swansea, he was absolutely phenomenal. And
if you'd offer me Christensen or Tomori, I'd take Tomori, but.
Yeah, I mean, I did think the Tomori deal was strange as well, but I mean, getting that money straight away, they're probably looking to invest. I mean, I've literally just seen, I think Lukaku's been announced while we've been recording.
Right. So I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. I mean, with Palace.
Another signing for Palace as well. A very, very bright, a bright star in a very dim season for Fulham was Joachim Andersen.
Oh, we were linked with him. So I think Man United and Spurs. I mean, you look at that. Yeah. That's absolutely like how they've got him. I mean, it must be, I mean, to be honest with you, Vieira. I mean, having him as a manager, the player he was, and the magnitude of a player was. Players probably want to play under him, and I can't imagine he takes any rubbish from the players. I mean, I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of him.
No, Michael Elise as well. He was ridiculous for Reading last season.
And I mean, Zaha is as good a signing as all.
Zaha will turn up when needs be as well. And they've still got Eze to come back into the frame later in the season. I think Palace could do much better than 13th.
Yeah, do you know what? And I think Benteke got his goal scoring form last season. I think 13th's harsh, but when we go up the table,
yeah. I'd
want him to prove me wrong, but you look at the teams.
You must want Vieira to do well as well.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, I mean, I never want him. I never want him to come to Arsenal. I don't like the idea of,
tarnish of the legacy kind of thing.
Because I mean, Mikel Arteta, he was a good player, but never go down as an Arsenal legend.
No.
Whereas Vieira, the way that our fickle Arsenal fans are, he'd go from a club legend to, I know what they're like. They turn on him, and I just want to see it. But no, we'll move up to 12th. I've got the XG specialist, Brighton.
I've got Brighton as well. Do you know what? I feel like we've got absolutely no justification to put Brighton above Palace, and that's quite a rivalry, isn't it? But I think Brighton. I think Graham Potter will get it right this season, and I think they're going to steer away from a relegation battle, and I think they're going to get a very respectable 12th place finish.
Yeah, I think last season they should never have been in a relegation battle if they had.
No.
I mean, the amount of games. I mean, Trossard against Man United hit I think he hit the left post, right post, and the bar in one game.
If I had a quid for every time last season we said Brighton should not have lost that game, I think we could retire and sack all the streaming on the head. To be honest,
we could have paid for Zoom Pro and done this live.
Yeah, but no, I think they're yet to reinvest the Ben White money as well.
Yeah,
and I think I would trust Graham Potter to reinvest that wisely. I think he's a wise owl. I think he's an underrated manager, and I think he'll get some bodies in, and I think Brighton will have a decent season.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think Neil Maupay, I still think he's got a lot to prove in the Premier League. He's had spells where he has looked like a established Premier League striker. He's had spells where, some of the misses he's had, and his ego, he's got the ego of a Premier League footballer. He just needs to start showing the ability more often. And to be honest with you, I think if he can get a run of goals, I think that it could be good for him. I mean, I've just seen as well, Izquierdo has finally left Brighton.
I can't believe he was still there.
I know. You forget he was even playing. I was looking through the transfers the other day, and that's when he left. And I thought, how he was still. I think he made about 2 appearances last season.
FIFA legend, mate.
Yeah.
Izquierdo. That first season he signed for him, he was unbelievable.
He was, yeah. I remember. I can't remember he scored a worldie against. But no, absolutely, he was phenomenal. And he had that injury, and I don't think he's ever fully recovered. Yeah. But we'll move on to 11th place. And to be honest with you, I wanted to put them higher. I've had West Ham. I think you've had West Ham as well.
I've had West Ham as well. Can we just say I did not know what his table was before the start of this stream.
Yeah, I literally did. I'm in Birmingham now, and I did this in the car. And it's absolutely. Other than there's a couple that we've had down below, and other different. It's all the same. But no,
West Ham. I think Thursday nights will take their toll on West Ham.
Yeah.
I don't think they've done as much business as they would like. But I think if you spoke to any level-headed West Ham fan, if you offered them a lower league finish but a really decent adventure in Europe, they'd probably take that.
Especially with fans back, I think.
Yeah.
Other than, once you pass the group stages, if they get past it, obviously, there is actually some decent teams, in the Europa League now.
They're straight in as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
No more Astragugas.
Was it 2 years running?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I remember. Yeah. But no, they're. I think, like I say, the Thursdays do take a toll. And Lingard not signing is a massive.
No, they'd have loved Lingard back
when they needed that push. Getting him on loan in January, I mean, the goals that he was scoring, it kept the momentum going for them. And to be honest, I think we kept sort of writing him off. I did especially, and to get a top 6 finish. I mean, it's some sort.
And I tell you what, if it weren't for a few games, it could have easily been top 4 as well.
Yeah, I remember they played well. I think they played well United home and away. And I know one game, I think Pogba just had an absolute masterclass, and I think it was 3-1 or something like that. But no,
we haven't even spoke. Declan Rice will be brimming with confidence as well.
Yeah,
after the summer he's had.
Yeah, and I think, in all fairness, Souček and Koufal as well. I mean, Czech Republic had a really respectable run. You forget they had quite a few, at the Euros. But I don't know. I just think that Thursdays they haven't really got much squad depth.
No,
and that'll kill them off. Especially playing. You can't play Thursday. Travel to Azerbaijan or something on a Thursday. Fly back to London for a game that'll be played on the Sunday. It'll get too much for the same players week in, week out.
Final thing on West Ham. End of an era. Mark Noble's last season.
Yeah,
that'll be so weird not seeing Mark Noble in and around West Ham at the come May.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest surprise is he's only about 32.
I know.
How he's not knocking on 40, I'll never know. But absolute fantastic play, in his time. Probably one of the best. He didn't play for England, did he?
No, he didn't.
No, probably one of the best not to play for England, to be honest with you. I think the last couple of seasons he's shown that he's probably knocking past it, but I can see him going to, a championship club, and probably doing quite well at that level.
Strikes me as the type to just retire after he leaves West Ham, though. I don't think he'd want to play for anyone else.
Yeah, unless he gets, a good retirement package in the MLS. Could you imagine him playing in America?
Right, so 10th place, I believe is the same again.
Yeah,
Leeds.
And another team that I think there's a lot of, I don't want to call them, mid-table teams, but I mean, they are, Leeds. I wanted to put them higher again because I think Rafinha's only going to get better. I thought Firpo from Barcelona is a good deal. And I mean, Bamford, if he can continue the goals. I just think, the way they do play football, as shown in a lot of games last season, I just think that the defense might let them down a bit, and I think that like a couple of games last season, I remember the 4-3 against Liverpool. It's just, I mean, when you're scoring 3 goals in a game, I mean, in my opinion, you shouldn't really be losing it, should you?
No.
And I mean, other than Firpo, have they made any other changes at the back?
I'm not. I don't think they have. I don't think they've made too many signings.
And
Could be wrong
Firpo
there.
isn't exactly he's a Barcelona fullback.
Yeah.
He's not exactly the best at defending. I think he's still a good signing for them. So he's only 22, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's only young. But no, I like to say, I mean, we said all the time, they're enjoyable to watch. And I do think that, you know, if they can get that front three going as they were last season, then I think they'll you know, they'll do well.
I think it'll be a very similar season for Leeds, to be honest. Like you said, they'll probably be the entertainers again, and you know, be an absolute, you know, always an enjoyable watch. I think last season they made a lot of football over lockdown bearable with the refreshing style of football that they played. But one thing that could push them higher, and it sounds like the smallest thing, having fans in at Elland Road.
Oh, do you know what? You forget. So you look at what difference it made Sheffield United. I mean, I know we've both been to Elland Road. They make one hell of an atmosphere.
You know what? They get a lot of stick, but they're an excellent fan base. Leeds. I've got nothing really bad to say about them. Travelling support and home support is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just people jumping on the bandwagon, you know, to hate Leeds. I mean, personally, I don't have anything against them. I do think that you probably couldn't have had a tougher ask first game of the season at Old Trafford.
No.
But no,
but that's twice. That's twice. It's twice in 2 seasons they've got a really tough game first, isn't it?
Was it Anfield?
Because they had Liverpool. Yeah, they had Liverpool.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But no, I think if you know they took the game to United last time. Was it 6-3 or 6-2? 6-2,
I think.
Yeah. So you never know. But we'll swiftly move on to 9th place again. We've both agreed, I think, on Aston Villa.
Yeah, it's a team that's had a very not turbulent, very interesting summer. Obviously with the Jack Grealish deal, but I think Villa, you know, as good as Jack Grealish is and was for Aston Villa, you know, no one is bigger than the club.
No,
and I think Aston Villa will carry on their upward curve even without Jack Grealish. You know, I think it's a matter of seasons before Villa start breaking into the top 6. I think they're a little bit short of that yet, but I think they'll continue on their upward trajectory, and they'll break into Europe at some point. But I think 9th's fair this season.
Yeah, I think they'd rather do it, you know, steadily, you know, rather than spend. Because I mean, that first thing they come into the Prem, their transfer business was absolutely horrendous, and they were lucky to. I mean, I don't want to talk about it too much. The goal against Sheffield United, but I do think that last season, obviously, the transfer business was absolutely stupendous. I think this season they've done it again.
Leon Bailey,
I think Bailey and Buendia. They're both really good signings.
Ings.
I just think, I forgot about Ings. The only thing with Ings, I think that halters Ollie Watkins. I know he played out wide for Brentford, but I think he's much better through the centre. And you know, if they're going to push him out wide, I just think. But then now you've got no Jack Grealish on the left. You know, there's space. I think that. I think they're going to go. They, like you say, progress sort of slowly. And I mean, they've got one of the richest owners in the Prem, haven't they?
Yeah, they're good owners. They're good owners. They've, you know, considering they took them over and they were 24 hours from going into administration.
Yeah,
they've worked wonders, and they've really, you know, I hate to say the cliche, but they've really gave Villa fans their club back.
Yeah, I mean the main thing really with Villa, it's obviously Jack Grealish going. I mean, like you said, it's easy enough to say, you know, he's a Villa lad. He wants to. Why he wanted to stay, but you know, he's getting. What is he? 25, 26 now. I mean, I think the Villa sort of process. I think you're looking at, you know, 3 or 4 more years until they're maybe pushing on. And if you're given, you know, the opportunity, you might win trophies with Villa in 3 or 4 years, or you go, you know, before your prime at Man City, play your prime years at one of the best Premier League sides of all time, you know, and I mean, I don't want to say they're bound to win at least one trophy this season. I hate to say it,
Yeah,
but it's almost I put my student loan on it.
yeah,
I just think that he's made the right call. I think Villa fans have got to respect that, and the money they've already spent really, and I think it's just adding to an even better Villa side.
yeah. I think they could end up being a more well-rounded unit, if that makes sense. But so enough about Villa. 8th place, I believe we differ on actually.
Yeah, finally.
So I've gone for Tottenham.
Yeah, see, I mean, I've gone for Everton. I've actually had Spurs higher, which is a shock.
Shall I explain first or you?
You go first.
I just really don't think Nuno is an inspiring appointment. I really don't. I think he's. I think a club like Spurs is too big for him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it just seems like they sacked Mourinho because the football was apparently too negative, but I feel like they've put someone in who plays similar football. I think it just makes no sense.
I think what baffles me the most is, you've just tied Son down to a new contract, which I think is how he's stayed. I have no idea the money they must be paying him. But I mean, you've got arguably the best striker in the world in Harry Kane. I mean, if I was, I'd be wanting to do everything in my power to keep Kane at the club. He loves the club, and I think if you brought in a more inspiring manager, that there's. I mean, you could say when they brought Mourinho in, it didn't work when they brought in, a serial winner then. But I just think it was comical. Spurs are in talks with so and so. Talks are broken down. It was like a circle. I think they just sort of thought we'll go for someone who's Premier League proven, and just pray it works. I think the good that is it Christian Romero from Atalanta.
Yeah.
I think that's a great signing, personally. But I mean, I don't know what you think of their business so far.
I can't. I won't pretend that I know lots about this Christian because I don't really watch Serie A.
Yeah.
But I think Atalanta have had a decent few years, and so they must see something in him. But I just you look back and Spurs must be cursing the day that they sacked Pochettino. Like,
oh yeah,
that must be one of the most ridiculous decisions in recent football times. Like, they wanted to move on to the next level and win some trophies, and they're now on their second. Well, if you count Mason, third manager. Like,
yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, Pochettino will. I don't think he'll be any more grateful for Spurs sacking him. I mean, what he's got to deal with now. I mean, he must be dreaming. But no, I
think there's a lot of. I think there's a lot of we've got an avid viewer of this channel who's a big Spurs fan, as you know, and from what I hear, there's just a lot of disillusionment around Spurs at the minute. I think fans are just so hacked off. They're being charged some of the highest prices in the league, and the club's just not going forward. So I think there's a lot of discontent around Tottenham at the minute, and I think that'll spill out onto the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you. I've sort of agreed. I've had them 7th. I know you've had Everton 8th, haven't you? I mean, we haven't even spoke about Everton yet. Personally,
well, I've had Everton 7th.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I've had them 8th is because, I mean, as of yet, James Rodriguez hasn't left. I know he really wants to leave by the sounds of it. And I think if they lose him, that's a massive blow for them. I think Alan.
I don't think Rafa wants him though, does he?
No. I just think that last season, that the start that he had, he was absolutely electric. And when he was injured, you really could tell watching him. And I think Alan's still a good player. And I think they'll do well to keep him. But the one I just can't see Calvert-Lewin progressing. I mean, I don't know. I want him to prove me wrong, as an England player, but I don't want to call him a one-season wonder because he's been knocking on the door the last couple, but I just don't think he'll do what he did last season. I mean, at one point he was on something stupid like 15 goals in 14 games, and then he just petered out at the end of the season.
No, I think it's very much like like you say, he needs to prove himself now, because I think his form post Christmas really did dip, didn't it?
Yeah.
But one thing we haven't spoke about, which was one of the, there's been so many talking points over this summer, but at the time it broke, it probably was the talking point of the summer, was Rafa going to Everton.
Yeah.
Obviously with his Liverpool connections. What do you make to that?
Yeah, I think that he's a well-rounded, proven Premier League manager. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, probably the most underrated job he did was with Newcastle. Personally, I think the fact that he actually gave Newcastle a chance, that goes under the radar. I mean,
I'd say it was with his.
Carry on.
I'd say he did a very underrated job. He did a very underrated job at Chelsea. People forget that he finished third with them and won them a trophy.
Yeah, but I think the thing is, obviously, with what he did at Liverpool, and I mean with Chelsea's high standards, it does get swept under the rug.
Yeah,
especially with like I say, the way that Chelsea are run. I mean, it's just not good enough for them. I mean, the thing is, I think Everton are probably. I think he's probably not a bad signing. A bad appointment, sorry, because they'll be wanting to win a trophy. I mean, we're pushing 30 years now without a trophy for Everton. And I mean, the size of the club, that's sort of, it's obviously they've had a long way. I think with Rafa in charge, they could push for sort of a League Cup, something like that. I know City have basically cemented themselves on it now, but they have proven that they are beatable in cup competitions. They're not invincible.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what Rafa needs, I think, he would be so grateful to the fixture list generator, because I think if he'd have had a few bad results to start off with, I think with his Liverpool connections, Everton fans are notorious for being quite restless. They'd have been baying for his blood. But, their start is Southampton at home, Leeds away, which is tough, but, they could get something. Brighton away, Burnley at home, Villa away. That could, Everton could have a really good start there. And I think, confidence could just start flowing, and they could mount a European push. I mean, 7th, which I've had them, 9 times out of 10 is enough to get you a European spot, because Man City win all the domestic cups anyway. So
I mean, I agree with you there. I think they'll just fall short personally. But I mean, we'll move on to the big 6, and in 6th we've both agreed, I think, with Leicester.
Yeah, I think, again, Thursday nights could have an effect on Leicester. I feel like in the last 2 years, they've literally been handed the Champions League on a plate, and they've passed up that opportunity, and I don't think they'll get that opportunity.
Yeah.
Again, well, no, Leicester could get top 6, but I just don't think it will be as favourable.
Can we just say, while we're on the topic of them dropping it, I believe in an old, I want to try and dig it out. I actually said that I think that Liverpool, and I thought that Leicester would drop out of the Champions League. And I remember I said I'm going to sound like a right
idiot. I remember that.
I genuinely said it, and I was thinking I'm going to sound like a right idiot saying this, because they'll push on, and especially after they beat Liverpool, I thought but I mean, probably to your delight, they ended up dropping out, and I just think that I mean Vardy's still an impressive player, but there was a lot of penalties last season. Obviously, I know penalties aren't a given goal, but I mean, how many did he get from open play? I think it was only about 6 in the Premier League. I think that Kelechi Iheanacho's sort of becoming the main man now, and he can push on. And I think, to be honest with you, I think he'll hit double figures in the league this season. I mean, they've got Samare from Lille, who I mean, like I say, I can't say I watched much of him last season, but he's come from the league champions.
Yeah,
he must be all right. And is it Patson Daka from Salzburg?
Yeah, I've heard good things about Patson Daka.
Yeah,
like I say,
Liverpool. Did he play against Liverpool that time?
I couldn't tell you, but I've heard good things about him. So, like I say, I'd be lying if I said I watched Salzburg regularly, but I've heard.
You're not an avid Austrian viewer.
No, I've heard favourable things, and I am. They always, their scouting has been exemplary over the last few years, Leicester, as well. But another reason I've put them sixth is because I think they'll go far in the Europa League. I think they'll, they disappointingly crashed out to Slavia last season.
Yeah.
I think they'll want to right that wrong, and I think they could get to the semi-finals of the Europa League.
Do you know what? I think their best chance. I mean, looking at the teams that I mean, personally, I think are going to finish above them. I don't think on paper that they've got as good a squad. They've got a very good manager in Brendan Rodgers, who I really hope stays for, and tries to push on to get him into the Champions League. But I think their best chance at the Champions League is winning the Europa League. And I have to say, I know there's some, it's not what the Europa League. I think Percy's getting better in standard. As in like the Premier League. I mean, the top 6 teams are all, all have world class players in now. Well, if you want to call any of Arsenal's players world class, but I just think that that they'll want to prove a point, win a trophy, especially after last season's FA Cup success, and I think that that they've got an extra fan following, haven't they? Gary Lineker said he's going to be going to every game. Maybe he's their good luck charm.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much said all we need to say about Leicester. I think that's and that time will come. Because they've announced today they're expanding the stadium. I think that's only going to help them push on, and maybe in the next 5 to 10 years they could cement themselves in the top 4. But I think for now, I think they've passed up that opportunity. Yeah,
I think it helps as well having such a a likable chairman who's really involved in the club, and then hopefully he keeps on to try and push them, probably to what I'd say to the next level, and themselves to the Champions League side.
So 5th place, I have said Arsenal.
Yeah, and I've agreed. Maybe a little bit of biased in there.
Well, there's no bias from me. But I think you'll do all right. I think so. A few people are understandably, may I say, because I don't think it would be harsh to write Arsenal off after the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I think a year out of Europe will do you well. I still think you've got some decent players. I like some of the young lads coming through, and Smith Rowe's been given the number 10, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has, and a new 5.
And then you've tied Balogun down onto a contract, which that was a bit of up in the air last year, wasn't it?
Well, at one point, he was talking to every man and his dog,
and
that's happened.
I think Saka will bounce back from his acrimonious disappointment over the summer, and I really hope he does.
Yeah,
because I think he seems like such a nice, likable young lad, and I think Ben White's a good signing.
Do you know what? And I mean, I've seen all these, Varane for 50 million euros, whatever, Ben White, 50 million pound. But I don't think people understand, like, he fits in perfectly with the system. His style of play, playing out from the back. And I think him and Gabriel will just be, they'll almost be perfect for each other. I mean, David Luiz, for anyone who actually watched us, was arguably our biggest creator last season from centre half. To replace him with, a ball playing centre half and someone he's really comfortable on the ball. I think that Arteta has to get the players he wants to play his style of football, and I think he's finally got a couple of them in. I mean, Sambi Lokonga, can't say I'd heard much about him before we were linked to him. I've watched him in pre-season, and he looks really impressive. He looks already better than El Neni, and I think at 21 he's only got more to prove. I think the one issue now is, Partey looks like he's missing the start of the season, which is frustrating, and Gabriel. But if we can get through a bit of a tough start, then I think that we could do quite well this season.
No, I agree. I think, like I say, I think a year out of Europe will do you the world of good. And I think, to be quite honest, especially over the last year when we were cooped up in the house, how many boring Europa League games did we watch? You're only really bothered about it until you get to the quarters minimum.
Yeah, I mean the quarters, if you get a good tie, it's worth watching. But now it's just it's I don't want to say it's pointless, because obviously when, like I say, it gives you some good games when you get to sort of the semis and the final. But it's just I'd rather have a season where the players have actually got time to recover properly.
Yeah,
I mean, look at what he did to Chelsea.
yeah.
They bounced back, albeit sacked Mourinho and brought in Conte. But he brought a whole different new style of play, and how he brought that in so quickly, and obviously went on to win the league. I'm not saying we're going to go on and win it,
No.
but I do think that we'll do a lot better than the previous 2 seasons. But I mean, I don't want to talk too much about Arsenal. We probably bore everyone going on about them all the time. We'll
You've
move on
only
to the top 4.
fourth place. I've had United,
Yeah,
and I believe you've had United as well.
yeah, and this is after Varane and Sancho, which I just think while they've got Ollie in charge, or Ole,
No,
sorry.
I think you're spot on. I don't. If there's any Manchester United fans watching this and they are, supportive of Solskjaer, just answer me this: if every club in the Premier League sacked their manager tomorrow, how many would take Solskjaer?
Yeah,
you could count on that hand. I think how
Yeah.
many would have him. I just do not rate him. I think tactically, he's cost Manchester United so much more than he's gained. I think he got the Europa League final all wrong. I think he embarrassingly crashed them out of the Champions League last year.
Yeah.
That game where was it PSG, where everybody watching the game, even you didn't even have to like football to know that Fred was going to get sent off in that match.
And also do you remember the Basak match when Demba Ba ran for a goal? There was no one back. I mean, that's the fault, no one else's.
And then he picked a horrendous team against Leicester in the FA Cup. I just, and then they've given him a new contract. I find it absolutely baffling. But
I think as well, just quickly, I mean the fact that they failed to pick up a single point against us. I mean, that game at Old Trafford, we were absolutely fantastic. And then it was the 0-0. But they're just not progressing.
No.
He goes into this bit of pressure and he pulls a result, out of nowhere, and everyone's all over him again.
But no, I've reeled off three scenarios where he has cost Manchester United last season. And if anyone needs a trophy this season, it's him.
Yeah.
Because they've gave him that. He's so lucky that United have very, generously, in my opinion, gave him a new contract. He needs to justify that now.
If he wasn't a club legend,
he's got the players. He's got the players to do it.
Yeah.
But there we go. I think Cavani will continue to score goals. I think Shaw is going to be revitalised after the summer. I think I really liked the look of Wan-Bissaka towards the back end of the season. And I think Maguire will be revitalised as well. And then obviously you've got Sancho and Varane to slot in next to Maguire and Sancho. Looks like he's going to have to be thrown in at the deep end because Rashford's injured now. So but I think United for me have a squad that could run in a title race, but I just don't think they have the manager to.
No, I think they've brought the right man in. They'd be right up there. I mean, what we'll do, we'll move on to top 3. So we're running out of time. And I mean, we've agreed on the top 3 as well. So we'll start with third, obviously. Liverpool. I mean, personally, for me, I think Van Dijk coming back will be massive for them, obviously. Whether he kicks on straight away as he did, I haven't watched much of him pre-season. I've seen a clip of him getting, putting his backside. I mean, it's pre-season. I'm not going to take too much from it. He's still an absolute world-class defender. I think Konate, a good signing, but time will tell. He's young, at a good Leipzig side. I think this season really is the season. Thiago really needs to kick on and show why they've brought him in. And really start improving them.
Yeah, I think Liverpool will be much more comfortable in the top 3 this season. I think I hate people celebrating the top 4 like it's a trophy, especially clubs like Liverpool. But you do have to say that job Klopp did to get them in the top 4 last season was incredible because they were so cut adrift.
Yeah, and with the injuries. I mean, the one thing I think it's if they can get Mane back to what he was playing like a couple of seasons ago, they'll have no issues at all.
It just sums up Klopp of how good he is. The fact that he got them into the top four and he had to play Nico Williams, Nat Phillips, and Reece Williams for most of the season.
Yeah, I mean Reece Williams, who was on loan at Kidderminster Harriers the season previous, it's absolutely ridiculous that. And Nico Williams, who I mean, we'll not get too much into personal opinions on players. I mean, I don't rate him whatsoever. I think he's nowhere near.
I think before we move on to second, I think Liverpool will probably top the table at some point this season, but I think that they will just drop off.
I think the reason I've had them so low, well, not so low, obviously, but the reason I haven't had them, going for the top is because I think they're going to have a good run in the Champions League. Whether I don't think they're going to win it.
Yeah,
I think at the minute the English clubs are the teams to beat, obviously, in both European competitions. In all fairness, and I just think that having the full squad back, they'll benefit well. And Klopp's a magician, and I think he could take them as far as the final. To be honest.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So second, I remember a certain person laughing at me when I said Chelsea would win the Champions League.
No words on that.
I think Chelsea will run Manchester City closer than anyone has run Manchester City before.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised really, when I seen all the links to Haaland and 31 Lukaku looks like it's official now. A good signing, but awful business. It's the same as the Pogba situation. It's just I don't know. I think he has developed a lot, obviously, as a player. I mean, watching him in the Euros and at Inter, whenever I got the chance to watch him, his overall game has improved massively. And I think he offers much more than just goals now. I think this is probably the season that they'll be wishing that Werner kicks on. I think they've had a perfect start winning the Super Cup last night, albeit not in the best way, but. Yeah, I don't think they'll beat Man City. I think Man City, again, bringing Grealish in is absolutely, I mean, I didn't think you could improve that team. They continue to do so. We'll move on to Man City, shall we?
Yeah, I think, like I say, I think they'll retain their crown. But I do think it will be closer than it's ever been before, certainly since Pep's been there.
Yeah. Do you know the season that Liverpool run it close? They were behind. I can see it being I don't think City are going to be anywhere near that 100-point mark again. I think they'll be late 80s personally. I think, like I say, that, to be honest with you.
Okay, do you know what I say? I say as close as anyone's ever run it. I completely forgot about Liverpool.
Yeah, I mean, that top three, in my opinion, are all.
I think you could have a three-way total race. I think that's a distinct possibility. I think they've all got their strengths, and you could all make a very valid case for them three sides to win the league. But I just think it'll be Man City again.
Yeah, I mean, it's the easy way out saying Man City, but I mean, it's just the fact that they can play without a striker and score so many goals is absolutely ridiculous. And adding Grealish into that, who, to be honest with you, isn't going to start every game.
Yeah,
they've splashed 100 million on him. I mean, that sums it up.
And I think Ferran Torres will have a really good season myself.
He looked fantastic in the Euros.
But it says it all about Man City. The fact they could leave the likes of Torres, Rodri, Laporte, and Fernandinho and Cancelo on the bench in a Champions League final.
The fact. Well, I mean, I'm not going to see a talk from the other day, but that absolutely killed the game. No Rodri off. Yeah. I still can't get my head to this day. And
right, I know you're a very busy man, so we'll blitz through the weekend's fixtures and give some predictions, and I'll let you go.
I'll tell you what we'll do. I'll send them over, and then we'll create a graphic for them.
We'll go very quick. Don't even explain. Just reel off the result. Right. Yeah. Okay. So Friday night kickoff. Is it Friday night?
Yeah.
Brentford Arsenal.
Friday, tomorrow night. I'm going 3-1 Arsenal.
I'll go 1-0 Arsenal. 12:30 Saturday, Man United Leeds. I'm going to go 2-1 Man United.
Do you know what? I'm going to put a big one out there. I'm going 4-2 to Man United.
Yeah. Watford Villa. I'm going to go 2-1 Villa.
1-0 Villa.
Leicester Wolves 1-1.
2-1 Leicester.
Everton 1, Southampton 0 for me.
Everton 2-0. I'm going now.
Chelsea 2, Palace 0.
3-1. I've had 3-1.
Burnley 0, Brighton 1.
Burnley 0, Brighton 1. 2-0.
Home win. Home win.
No, sorry, I've had 2-0 to Brighton. Sorry.
Right. Norwich 0, Liverpool 2.
Do you know what? I'm going to have to go for a big one because it always is. I'm going to say 4-1.
Newcastle 2, West Ham 1.
2-2.
Tottenham 1, Man City 3.
2-0 Man City.
I believe that. Yeah, there's no Monday night game, so that's that.
Yeah, that looks like that to me. I mean, we'll get them out. So I'll sort that out in the morning after a very good night in Birmingham, hopefully.
Yeah, well, enjoy your night, mate. Enjoy the Midlands. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, it seems it so far. I'll freshen up and get straight out there. So, but no,
have a good night.
I will do. Well, thank you for watching.
And happy new season.
Yeah, well, hopefully a happy new season for us. Very good start for you all. Like, we didn't even get to talk about that, but
I know, yeah, I'm sure we will. But the script was written, and it was a bloody good day.
Well, hopefully, when we do the first proper show of the season, you'll still be in this mood, and you won't be down there. So
end the season now. We're in the playoffs.
Right. Well, thank you for watching, and hopefully, I mean, it won't be. I mean, it's not long till we start back, so looking forward to it.
See you there.
See you there.